Good morning, everyone. Today, I, Ansh Jain, is standing in front of you to present on the topic planning. Now, what is a planning? A planning is a major and a primary function of the management. No organization can operate properly without planning. A planning is preparatory steps for the action. It means that it is pre-thinking for determining a course of action to achieve some desired results. Planning is essential, a process of determining in advance what is to be done, when and where is to be done, and how is to be done, and by whom. Now, planning means is a process by which the managers of the organization sets an objective to make the overall assessment of the futures and the chart of the course of action with the views to achieve the organized goal. Now, there are some important definitions of planning which is given by some different authors as shown. Now, the planning has some nature and the characteristics. First, intellectual process. Planning is an intellectual and a rational process. Planning is a mentally exercises involving imaginations, fogginess, and the sound judgments. It requires a mental dispose of the think before acting in the light of action rather than guess. The quality of the planning depends upon the ability of the manager who are required to collect all the facts, analysis and interrupts that is in the correct way. Second, goal orientation. All the planning is linked up with some certain goals and objectives. It follow through that is the very planning must be contributed in some positive way to the acknowledgement of the group objectives. Planning has no meaning without being related to the goals and objectives. It must bridge the gap between where we are and where we want to go at the minimum cost. Third, primary function. Planning is said to be the most basic and function of the management. It occurs the first place and precedes of all the functions of the object management which are desired to be the goal under the sets of the planning. The other functions of the management are organization, direction, coordination, and control that can be performed only after the manager has the necessary planning. Fourth, pervasiveness. Planning presents all the management activities. It is the job of all the managers in all the type of organization. It is undertaking at all the segments and the levels of organization, from the general manager to the foreign man. Fifth, uniformity. There may be a separate plans performed in different levels in the organization, but all the sub plans must be united with the general plans so that it makes a, a plan for operating at a given period of time. Sixth, continuity. To keep the enterprise as the going without any break. It is essential that the planning must be continuous in the process. So the first plan must follow the second plan, and the second plan must follow the third plan, and so on. Seventh is flexibility. Planning should not be grid, it should be flexible as possible to accommodate all possible changes in the enterprise with the views to coping with the changing conditions in the market. 8. Simplicity. The language of the work schedule or the program in the planning should be simple so that each and every part of it may easily be understood by the organization or the employee at different levels. Ninth, precision. Precision is the soul of planning. It gives the planning exact definition and accurate meaning in the scope and content. Any mistake or error in planning is sure to upset other functions of the management. And it is a very important in every kind of planning. 10th, feasibility. Planning is necessary poetry nor physiology. It is based on the facts and the experience and thereby the relatives in the nature. 11th, choice among alternative courses. Planning involves selection of the suitable courses of action for several alternatives. It is only one way of doing some. There are the no needs of planning has to find the several alternatives, flexibility, profitable of the different alternatives and make the choices to be the best. 12th, efficiency. Planning is directly towards efficiency. All planning is a course of action that shows promise of the optimization written at the minimum cost to the input. In planning, the managers evaluate the alternatives on the basis of efficiency. 13th, interdependence. The different departments may do the different plans and the programs for their organization, but the sectional plan should be the independent. For example, producing planning depends upon the sales plannings and the vice versa. 14, forecasting. In all above, no planning can be proceeded without forecasting, which means assessing the future and making provisions for it. Planning is a semantic of the various forecasting, short term or long term, spatial or otherwise. Now, there are some of the elements in the planning. First, objectives. The important task of planning is to determine the objectives of the entrepreneurs. Objectives are the goals towards which all the manager's activities are aimed at. All planning works must spell out in the certain terms of the objectives to be realized from the business activities. Second, forecasting means it is advertising. It is analysis and the interpretations of the futures in relatives to the activities and the working of an entrepreneur. Forecasting provides a logical basic for anticipation, the shape of the future business transactions and their requirements as to man and the material. Third, policies. Planning also requires lay down of policies for easy realization of the object of the business. They may produce the policies, sales policies, financial policies, and personal policies. But these are different policies are coordinated and integrated in such a way that they should have a easy realization of the ultimate objectives of the business. Fourth, procedures. The manner in which each of the work has to be done in the indicated by the producers, that they may be the some conflicts between the policies and the procedures. Policies provides the guideline to the thinking and the action, but procedures are define and specific step to think and do the action. Fifth, rules. A rule specifies necessary course of action in a particular situation. It acts as a guide and is essential in the nature of the decision made by the managing authority. Similarly, in respect of the sales procedure, rules may be enforced that all the orders should be confirmed the day prior. Sixth, programs. Programs are precision the plan of the action provided in the proper sequence in the accordance with the objective policies and procedures. Program that leads to the certain course of interrelated actions for the accomplishments of the purpose. The sequences between the different steps fixed up performance responsibilities for each of the step and the defining duties to the each of the part. Seventh, budgets. Budgets means a estimate of a man, money, material, and equipment in a numerical terms required for the implementation of the plan and the program. There may be several departments of the budgets which are again integrated into the master budgets. Eighth, projects. A project is a simple use plan which is a part of general program. A project involves a basic of the investment of the funds, the benefits from which can be authored in the future. Example of such investment may be lending, building, machinery, research and development, and many more. Ninth, strategies. Strategies are the devices, formats, and adopted for the competition standards as well as from the point of view of the employee, customer, suppliers, and the government. Strategies thus may be the internal or the external. When the internal or external, the success of the plan depends that it should be strategically organized. Now there are some of the steps which is taken in the planning. First, perception of the opportunities. The managers must first identify the opportunity that call for the planning and the action. This provides an opportunity to set the objective in a real sense, and this is a very important for the planning process because it leads to the formation of the plan by providing occurs as well as the weather opportunities existing for taking up particular plans. Second, establishment of the objectives. The next step in the planning process is the set up an objective to achieve by the enterprise in the possible terms, keeping in the view of the strength and the limitation. The plan at each level of the organization are made by the attainment of the opportunity objectives in the hierarchy. This hierarchy can build up by the coordination of the plans of the different departments. Third, building the planning premises. After determining the organized goal, it is necessary to establish a plan premises, that is the condition under which the planning activity will be undertaken. This provides a collection of the facts and the figures necessary for the planning the future of the courses of the entrepreneurs. Fourth, identifying the alternatives. The next step in the planning process is to search for the various alternative course of the action based on the organized objectives and the planning premises. The particular objective can be achieved through the various actions. For example, if an organization has set an objective to grow further, it can be achieved in several ways, like in the field of the business, or in the project line, joining with the other organization, or taking over another organization, and so on. Without each category, there are some of the various alternatives. Fifth, evaluation of the alternatives. Various alternative courses that is considered flexible in the terms of producing criticism that has to be taken in the evaluation. Now, the strong and the weak point of every alternative should be analyzed carefully. Ultimately, the choice will depend with to be determined as the most critical factors from the point of view of the objectives of the entrepreneur. enterprises. Sixth, the choice of the courses of action. After evaluation of the various alternatives, the most appropriate one is to select as a plan. Alternative courses of action may be required to be undertaken in the future in the change situation. So the planner must also be ready with the alternative normality known as the con- contingency plans that can help coping up with the changed situation. Seventh, formulation of the supporting or the derivative plans. After the best alternative is depends upon, the next level is to determine the various plans for different departments or the section of the organization to support the main plan. The breakdown of the master plan is into the departmental or the section provides a relative picture of the action to be taken in the future. Eighth, establishing the sequence of the activities. After formulation, the basic and the determining plan of the situation of this to determine so that the plan are to be taken into the action. Ninth, securing participation. Plan must be communicated in different details to the subordinate to increase their understanding of the purpose action and for unlisting the cooperatives in executing of the plan. Now in the last 10th, providing for the future evaluation. For evaluation, the selected plans are proceeding with the right lines. It is very important to devise of a plan of a system to in the continuous evaluation of the plan. It will help in detecting the shortcoming of the plan and the taking remedial action well in time. Now there are some importance. Planning is very important and basic feature of the planning. Now, planning requires a scientific thinking as it is spelled into the creation of the terms, defining of the purpose, analyzing the task of the following is given with the well versed of the principles. Now, there are some of the importance which is to be taken. Principle of commitment. Commitment. This means that the certain resources must be commitment or the place for the purpose of planning. Planning is not an easy task, so necessary helps to be taken by the experts. The entrepreneur must be ready to execute the available resources for the achievements of the plan. Second, principle of limiting factor. A plan involves a various different importance. The principle involves some of the evolution that has to be put in the factors. Third, the principle of reflective thinking. Principle being intellectual, the activity is based on the rational consideration. Okay. Now, fourth, the principle of flexibility. Now, the principle is to be done to be in the positive way towards the achievements of the enterprises of the objectives. To enterprises the objectives. First, providing a basic of the decisions. The first and the most important reasons of the planning is the fact that it provides a basic on which the decision was made. Second, focusing on the attaining and objectives. Planning concretes the attentions of the planning of the entrepreneur. The first function of the planning is to spell out into the objectives. Minimum uncertainty and the risk. The future is the uncertain that it helps the manager to take care of the future uncertainty and the minimum business risk. Adapting which changes. Business planning has become an imperative due to the fact that that enterprise the operands in a changing and the dynamic environment. Fifth, securing economy. Planning focuses on the efficiency and the economy in operation. It aims at the smooth flow of the work. All these steps in the planning lead automatic to the economy. Sixth, helping in coordination. Planning helps to achieve a coordinating structures of the planning. It provides a unified framework. Thus, the various departments work in the accordance with the overall plan and the coordination is achieved. Seventh, making control effective. The managerial function of the controlling is concerned with the comparison between the planned performed and the actual performed of the subordinate and the department of the organization. Thus, the planning and the control are inseparable. Eighth, increasing organization effectiveness. Planning ensures organization effective in various ways. It states that the objective of the organization in the context of the given resources, providing for the proper utilization of the resources to the best advantage, gives necessary strength for growing and steady progress by which the competitor are likely to do and act accordingly. It defines the boundary within which the business should operate. This enables the businessman to depends upon the matter which are actually retained and virtual to the business success. Now, advantages: better utilization of the resources. Second, helps in achieving the objectives. Third, economy in operation, minimizes future uncertainties, improves competitive strength, motivation, cooperation, promotes growth and involvement, develop rationality among management executives, prevents hasty judgment, encourages involvement through, involves ability to cope with changes, creates forward looking attitude in management, development of the effective method, delegation of the authority facilitation, anticipation of the crisis. Now, methods. There are three methods, depends on the planning. First is objective, second standing, and third master plans. Objective plans are used for the treatment of the basic plans which is necessary for all types of planning operations. Standing plans, this involves the policies and the procedures. It provides a ready guideline for solving the recursion problems. Standing plans limits the freedom of the manager for ensuring integrated and the cooperative actions. Master plans covers the complete course of action along with consideration of the time and the strategy. Now, there are some of the limitations based on the planning: inflexibility, forecast means advertisement, unsuitability, time consumption, they are costly, false senses of security, delay during emergency period, capital investment. Now, there are some of the obstacles in the planning: unreality of the forecast, expensive, loss of intellectual, recusing of the same type of problem. Now, after the completing of this, I need to summarize the all the points which I have covered in this PPT. Planning is the first and the foremost function of the management. Some of the characteristics of the planning are looking into the future, which has been involved in this. Planning contributes to the objectives. Planning is an intellectual activity, and planning gives economy in the operation and motivation. Planning is sometimes inflexible and unsuitable. Planning of the some of the steps of planning which is involved in the analyzing external and the internal of the environment. Thank you.